Alright, we are going to be talking about fuel filters. Well, not all fuel filters. We're going to just be talking about diesel fuel filters. Usually diesel fuel filters are either a cartridge that goes into a housing, or they look like an oil filter. This one has the oil filter look and style. Now, there's good filters, there's bad filters out there, there's filters that just work. The thing is that realistically, what we got here, and I've already looked at it, it's a fair filter. It's not the greatest filter, you know, in terms of technology. Now, another thing is, not everybody makes their own filters, and sometimes you actually do get somebody else's filter in somebody else's box. Take into consideration, this is a Beck & Arnold box, and I open it up to find a Malle filter. Now, I've already looked it up. This is the correct Malle filter for this engine. So, you know, the Beck & Arnold filter in the Malle box, you know, things like this do happen. Now, I'm going to spin this one off and I'm going to show you what the big differences are. Well, number one, as you can see, it's a lot bigger of a filter, both in terms of around and actual height. The thing is that we are also looking at, in many ways, a better way of going through the filter media. This one has plastic internals. I know some people are under the impression plastic is junk. The thing is that, you know, after watching a few of the other diesel mechanics videos, I really feel plastic is the better way to go, just due to the fact that if the weld seams fail on the metal sleeve that they put in there, you know, that's shrapnel going through your injector pump. And I'm sorry, but one of these remanned is almost 800 bucks. I just don't feel like spending that kind of cash when I can get the reseal kit for less than 200 bucks. So there's that. So when it comes right down to it, for performance-wise, you're actually going to get better performance out of this filter than you are that, because of the fact that the pump actually has enough fuel to draw from. Another big thing is, and I'll show you, is it's got a center rubber gasket. Unlike the essentially oil filter style that this is, where it's just kind of a compression fit. In terms of something like this, where realistically you are actually going to be taking these on and off a lot during their own service life, just to remove the water. Yes, you do have the water drain at the bottom, which we'll get into a little bit later, but to really, you know, sort of flush the filters out, or if it's a really cold day and you haven't plugged it in and your fuel's gelled because you haven't put any additive in, you're going to want to take the filter off, and you're going to want to put additive in the filter so that you can at least try and get it to start for you. That's a big thing. With having the 2 rubber gaskets, it really does make it a lot better in sealing terms. Now, as far as construction goes, especially on diesel fuel filters, I really don't like painted filters myself. Knowing that diesel fuel can eat the paint and that can be going through my fuel system, you know, it doesn't bode well. Versus the galvanized filters such as this, or if you are willing to spend the money, they do make a few stainless steel filters. That's where you gotta really look at the cost and what are you willing to spend on that. But in terms of the water, you've got this style here. Pour that into that bucket over there. And you have this style. Now, in terms of actual usability, I preferred this big knob over this little knob. And it really does come down to the fact that, you know, reaching down in there and grabbing on and turning, you're gonna get this to seal back up easier than this. You're also gonna get this to turn for you easier than this. It's a big thing in filters. You know, when it comes to diesels, it's a completely different game than gasoline. Gasoline, especially anything with fuel injection, with electronic fuel injection, I don't care if it's throttle body fuel injection or multi-port or sequential or direct fuel injection on a gas engine, the fuel pump is pushing upwards of 65 psi. On these, they're pushing 8 to 10. Plus, diesel is a heavier fuel. It's literally heavier by volume than gasoline. So, it actually takes a lot more energy to move it than gasoline. So, you have to think on those terms as well. The thing is that when you are replacing the filter on the diesels, it is common practice to put diesel fuel in the filter, especially on these styles, where you fill it with diesel and then you'd screw it in. That is a good practice because that means that you're not cranking the motor over so hard. You're not having to burn your battery out. You're not wearing your starter out. And, you know, you are running your injector pump dry, which you got to remember, folks. Your injector pump is cooled and lubricated by the diesel fuel itself. You know, that is the thing. So the less time you spend with it dry, the longer life you're gonna have. So, think in those terms. Now, how do you fill these filters? Well, I'm gonna show you the quick and dirty method I do. I got a 5-gallon can of diesel. You know, the electric transfer pump. If I remember, I'll put a link to it somewhere. That's if I remember. So now I put it right in the center hole and turn the pump on. And we're starting to fill the thing. And I get it, I'm lazy, but this does work for me, okay? And that's it. You put it on, you're ready to rock and roll. The thing is that how do you know when you need to replace the filter? Well, okay, there's the mileage. Realistically, to have a really nice running diesel, I'd say change these filters out every second to third oil change. Yes, you can run them a lot longer than that, but to really have a nice filter, you know, clean fuel going through your motor, make it last as long as possible, yeah, change it every second to third oil change. Another thing is that, you know, the drain valve. Run the drain valve every 3 to 6 months. You know, just clean out the water. If you are having a hard starting problem where it's cranking over a lot more than it normally is, run the water out. It happened to me. All I did is I dumped the contents of the filter out, I put fresh diesel in, and fired up. And it's weird because it would run just fine. Okay, it'll run fine. You know, I'm not lacking power, but the thing is that when it came to starting, even hot, it would take a few more turns than it normally would. So, filtration, especially on diesel engines, is a key factor to making them live. It's something that, folks, you need to be aware of. Whether it's something old like this with mechanical fuel injection and a mechanical fuel pump, or something more modern, such as a Power Stroke or a Duramax, where, you know, you've got common rail injection and you're running 10,000 psi fuel pressure into the injectors. Fuel quality is a big thing, so keep that in mind. And if you got any questions, put them down in the comments. I'll try and get to them as best I can. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you on the next one.